Welcome to Timeless Chronicles. Explore history, mysteries, and fascinating stories from 13 last-minute decisions that changed world history. Subscribe now for captivating content. Enjoy this video. MLK improvised "I Have a Dream." If there's one Martin Luther King Jr. quote that everyone knows, it's "I have a dream." This line came as part of a powerful and inspiring speech on civil rights delivered by the Reverend August 28, 1963, in front of the Lincoln Memorial. In it, King espoused his vision of a future that included racial harmony, framed around the idea of a dream he had. However, originally, there wasn't meant to be any mention of dreaming. Teddy Roosevelt saved his own life by putting a thick speech in his breast pocket. Teddy Roosevelt, easily America's most action movie-esque president, loved to make grand speeches. In 1912, while making another run at the presidency as the leader of a new political party, the Progressives, Roosevelt had prepared a 50-page diatribe that he aimed to deliver to a waiting audience. Before heading there, Roosevelt randomly decided to fold up the speech and place it in his breast pocket, a small decision that soon saved his life. Buddy Holly's desire to do laundry changed rock history. One of the most infamous moments in music history is February 3, 1959, otherwise known as the day the music died. That day, Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. Richardson Jr., also known as the Big Bopper, all famous musicians, perished when their small plane crashed in Iowa. As it turns out, they were only on that plane due to a rash and seemingly inconsequential decision by Holly. A last-minute officer change doomed the Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic is one of the greatest naval tragedies in history. The ship, famously described as unsinkable, hit an iceberg in the Atlantic and sank shortly thereafter. There's plenty of blame to be passed around for the massive loss of life on that night, but one portion belongs to a last-minute decision to switch officers. Clouds saved Kokura from nuclear attack. For such a monumental couple of events, the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not planned in incredible detail. The US wasn't even sure they were going to use nuclear tools until not long before they were dropped, and their list of potential target cities was large. The US didn't meditate on which Japanese cities to target, as Japan's surrender was nearly guaranteed in the face of nuclear materials. Gavrilo Princip and A Wrong Turn brought on WDY. Gavrilo Princip thought he missed out on his shot to alter history. He was part of a Bosnian militant group that sought to oust the rulers of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and that meant he had a problem with Archduke Franz Ferdinand. On June 28, 1914, Princip and others planned to take out Ferdinand as his car paraded by. They threw a bomb under the car, but the explosion was delayed, and Ferdinand escaped unharmed. A while later, Ferdinand decided to visit the victims of the attack at a local hospital, and he instructed his driver to take a different route than the one he was on before. Lazy reading brought down the Berlin Wall. The fall of the Berlin Wall, which occurred in 1989, is one of the most important moments of the 20th century. It also happened by accident. Günther Schabowski, a spokesman for the East German Politburo, was hosting a press conference about the possibilities of East Germany allowing travel through the wall. Here's the thing. Right before the press conference, Schabowski received a memo from Politburo updating him on what to say. The Desert Fox, Erwin Rommel, decided to surprise his wife with vacation right before D-Day. The storming of Normandy on D-Day is perhaps the single most important moment in World War II, at least from an Allied perspective. It also may have gone a completely different way, if not for a surprise birthday party. German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, was in charge of the defense at Normandy, but he decided on a whim to surprise his wife with a vacation for her birthday. Johann Rall lost the American Revolution for Britain because he didn't want his poker game interrupted. Johann Rall is a lesser-known German colonel who commanded the Hessian troops that aided the British in the American Revolution. Rall is most notable for being the victim of George Washington's near-mythic crossing of the Delaware. but he needn't have been. Rahl was handed intelligence about Washington's crossing the night before it happened, but the note was in English, which he didn't read, and he was busy playing chess or poker, according to some accounts. Stanislav Petrov single-handedly saved the world from nuclear materials. Everyone in the world owes a great debt of gratitude to Stanislav Petrov, yet few even know his name. If not for Petrov, a nuclear battle would almost certainly have erupted between the US and the Soviet Union, and it would have devastated humankind. Marie Antoinette's last-minute decisions doomed her family. History has not shined very brightly on Marie Antoinette, and while not all of her reputation is deserved, the story of her passing definitely doesn't help matters. Marie Antoinette was famously beheaded during the French Revolution, at which time she definitely didn't say, "Let them eat cake." William Perry held his tongue and avoided combat with North Korea. In 1994, under the Clinton administration, the United States came close to battling North Korea. Hannibal created a battle-losing avalanche by striking a snowdrift with a walking cane.